Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn, with me in the studio today to take on this mission. Hello, Miss Daphne Lynn. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to pick up with this part 2 of the actual elements of the near-death experience. You know, we covered a few yesterday, and I kind of ran out of time, but we're going to kind of do an extension of the yesterday's episode, for lack of words.
Yes, it was so good. I mean, we have come so far in our knowledge, the base of our knowledge and the understanding, because I can remember years ago when I first heard the term, the way I thought and felt about it as compared to now, and it is different as night and day.
What term exactly are you talking about? Near-death experience?
Yes.
Okay.
Near-death experience, the term NDE. Yeah, it is. My knowledge has grown so much.
Expanded.
The wisdom that comes from these experiencers is so enlightening.
Yeah, it is. Very good, very good. Well, let's jump into it. Now, before we do...
we're on a mission.
Before we do, welcome everybody. Those who are here for the first time, those who are returning, welcome all. We love you all, and thank you so much for tuning into the NDE World Podcast. Don't forget to go to the website, nde.world. Again, that is...
NDE.world.
Okay, thank you. Now, today's episode is, like I said earlier, it's just really a continuation of just the different elements that comprise a near-death experience. And like we always say, all these experiences are individual, so people experience different things, but these are like the basic elements, you know, that come up in the actual near-death experiences. And we did cover quite a few yesterday, Daphne. What's some of the ones like... We had the out-of-body experience, the tunnel, the light, the overwhelming love, peace, being greeted by, loved ones, spiritual beings, pets, animals. What else?
The oneness, our divinity.
Yeah. Back home, that...
Feeling back home, the knowledge.
The knowledge of all, yeah. So that's the things we covered yesterday. So we're just going to kind of pick up where we left off yesterday. Do you have any comments you want to share before we get started?
No, not really. Just I'm ready to get started on the rest of our mission for today.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's jump right into it. Okay, this next concept, is a truth, guys. It's a universal truth, and you're really going to have to really let this sink in, especially if you're old school and you have a certain way that you identify what we call God. Well, news is, and we get this back, and it is a truth. It says that God is both mother and father. It's both the masculine and the feminine. Okay. Would you like to read that, Daphne, how that's kind of brought out there?
Yeah. It says, a realization or perception that God embodies both masculine and feminine qualities. And it's often described as a divine presence that transcends gender. This understanding includes feeling that God is both nurturing like a mother and protective like a father, representing a balanced and all-encompassing divine nature.
Exactly.
And there's so much beauty in that one statement right there, and these experiencers coming back and sharing this knowledge with us, because through the different religions out there, we are taught that it is that divine source is a masculine form.
Usually he, or just father.
Yes,
or
yes,
just God,
exactly.
Or just, you're right. Now, however, there are those out there who have that understanding of the divine mother, but that's all they worship. And there are those groups out there, they just worship just the mother, but really, the Elohim is all, And it says right there in your own Bible, for those who want to look it up.
And, we've had some of our guests even talk about this, that great divine spirit transcends gender, but yet is both at the same time.
Yeah, that's it. It's an energy. It's your spirituality. There is masculine and feminine spirituality in all of us, and all of everything.
Yes.
You have masculine, feminine. I have masculine, feminine. He has masculine, feminine. She has. Everything has masculine, feminine. Okay?
Yes.
That is a universal law. You cannot get around that.
No,
You know,
can't.
and everything is one. We are all one from this source. And this source, you know, if anybody, whoever thinks this source is just the all, is just a he and calls it just the Father, then you don't have a full understanding. I'm just saying, you know.
Right.
So that's what I like about this. You know, these NDEers do come back and they do acknowledge that part of the all, that it is the mother, father, just like Jesus taught, Yeshua taught in a lot of the pre-biblical writings and things like that. You know, this is something they all taught, you know,
Yeah.
that mother, father, Elohim is the all.
Right. Exactly. And there's so much beauty in that because it does take both. You cannot have one without the other. And that's the beauty in it, in that embodiment of the divine, is that masculine and feminine. That divine source energy is both. So it could and does create both, and all things are both male and female.
Yeah, and even that can be taken down a deep rabbit hole. I'm not going to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly because it's just, a lot of it is esoteric and a lot of people's not going to grasp it. I just don't want to go there. But that's the point, yeah. When you
Not at this time anyway.
No, we'll save it for another episode.
Yeah.
But the point is yeah, you have to understand that that is a universal law, and all the holy books, all the holy writings, even the Bible, you know, tells you that God is both. You know, I look right there in Genesis where it says God.
Get your interlinear.
Get out your interlinear. It's the Elohim, guys. Elohim, plural, mother, father. Yeshua tells us this, who the Elohim are. He said it's mother, father. God is mother, father. So if you're in a religion or a belief system that only teaches or believes that God is separate from everybody else and everything else, and God is a he, and you can only get to God because you've been separated from God, you've got to go through that religion or that belief system or that deity, you really need to question whether or not, you know, are you in something for the greater good? My question is, you know, is what you believe in leading you to your better, greater self? Then by all means, yeah, I'm all for it. You know, Christianity, Buddhism, any religion, if it's bringing you to your higher good, you know. Now, moving right on along, this next subject here is actually no religion. You know, speaking of religion, so Daphne, let's kind of look into that a little bit. We get this, guys, okay, all the time from NDE experiences. There is no religion.
It's not even
on
mentioned
the other side, guys.
through anything.
It's not. There's no religion.
Yeah, and this brings it out as a perception that the experience transcends specific religions, beliefs, or affiliations. Individuals often feel that the NDE reveals a universal spiritual truth that is not confined to any one religion or doctrine.
Yeah, and the beauty of that, and we have proof of this, guys, and evidence, is that near-death experiences are experienced from, you know, Christians and from, you know,
people all around the
Islamic
world.
people, you know, doctors, lawyers, priests, ministers, you know, old, young, everybody across the world, regardless of your religion. And that's the point here. Regardless of your religion, people are experiencing these things of the supernatural, okay? And these are all common elements that these people, because we are all human. Think about this, guys. We're all connected.
Yes, we are.
They're all experience the same thing. And religion is not a part of it.
Right.
You know, so if religion's not a part of it, how much time do you spend supporting your religion instead of working on just being the ultimate best version of you?
Live the religion of love.
Yeah.
If you want to have to say religion, I mean,
if you feel like you need to be a part of a religion, yeah, love is the key. You know, you can be a Christian as long as you've got love. Okay, love is the key, because that's what the masters taught. Correct.
Any
But
affiliation
if you're a Christian, or like you said, any religion, and you're teaching duality or separateness. I don't like the duality so much, but separateness, us against them, cops and robbers, okay?
Right.
If you are part of a group or a religion that teaches Okay, here, let me share something with you guys before we move on, since we're on the topic of religion, and no religion going to be on the other side or in the near-death experiences, okay? Let me open up your eyes a little bit, guys. You have to understand that there's two groups of religions in the world, okay? That they
Right.
either teach oneness,
Mm-hmm.
unity, that everything is connected,
Mm-hmm.
okay? That we all are of one source, okay? And many expressions of that source, and there's a way for all of us to live as humanity. That's called the way, okay? And that way is walking and living in harmony with oneness, and these universal laws and these universal principles of love, compassion, and grace for our fellow man, our fellow humans, our fellow animals, okay? Those are the groups, okay? And I'll tell you what, let's share a couple of them real quick, if you don't mind, Daphne. And so that there's the group that teaches that, okay? That we all are one.
And not
okay?
teaches, but believes.
But beliefs, correct. That's
Yes.
beliefs. Thank you, thank you. Now you have another group. The other one, I told you there were two groups. The other group of religions are called,
Duality.
separation, for lack of
Separation,
words.
duality,
It's us against them. It's cops and robbers. In other words, they divide. They're not here to unite. All right. And we'll share some of those from that list as well. But we've got two lists here, okay? Some will unite and some will divide. Now, if you are part of one of these groups, that's your choice.
That's
And
your
we
call,
love you
yeah.
either way, because we're not here about your belief systems. Your belief systems belong to you, just like ours belong to us. Those belong to those, and theirs belong. Belief systems shouldn't be used for something to divide us all, guys. It's
Right.
just something we should respect each other for and let people experience life the way they need to, okay?
Right, we're here to share knowledge. I mean, and knowledge helps you to really understand things a lot better. Helps you to grow.
Yeah, at least give you perception. That's what I like to say, because that's really what we're doing. We're giving you perception, but it's not one person's opinion or one book's opinion. Okay,
Right.
we're giving you thousands of witnesses' opinions. Okay,
Right.
perspectives, should I say, in their story, not just opinions. So,
Okay, so I would like to share some of the oneness teaching religions
Let's
that
do
are on
that.
this list, because
at least a
I
few
didn't
of
realize
them,
there
if you
were
don't
so
mind.
many that actually taught oneness.
Yeah, why don't you take maybe like the top three or four, if you don't mind, since there's so many.
Okay, so the top four are Hinduism.
And what do they teach? Oneness or division?
Okay, it says the school of Hindu philosophy teaches non-dualism,
Okay.
emphasizing the oneness of the individual and the ultimate reality.
Okay, perfect.
The Atman
So,
and
so
the
these are
Brahman.
groups of oneness. These groups teach oneness. Okay. All right. Ding, ding.
Okay.
Oneness. We got Hinduism. Okay.
Which I didn't realize they did.
Okay.
So that's great. Buddhism,
Right. I was familiar with that.
Mahayana, is particularly in Mahayana Buddhism, there is a strong emphasis on the interconnectedness of all beings and the concept of emptiness, which dissolves the boundaries between self and other.
And you see, Buddhism gets it. And a lot of people don't know Jesus, of the real Yeshua of history, was Buddhist.
He went to Tibet and learned the ways.
Yeah, we've got all the records on that. Do you ever wonder why they didn't have the age 13 to 29 in the Bible? Hello. Well, he was down in Tibet, in India,
the different-
and all this. Well, he was
Yeah.
studying from the masters. Well, he was more Buddhist, and they taught the way. Okay,
Right.
and Jesus taught the way. Now, what else do we have, Daphne?
Okay, so Taoism.
Taoism.
It
Oh, yes.
teaches the concept of the Tao,
which is
that-
God, pretty much.
an underlying unity and harmony in the universe. The philosophy emphasizes living in accordance with this natural order and understanding the interconnectedness of all things.
Dissolving the self.
That sounds so much like me nowadays. It really does. But without knowing the term.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this one, I'm going to say, I hear a lot of people say, oh, you need to get away from this. But it's called New Age spirituality. But I'm seeing it as just the old ways coming back to the forefront.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It says it's often characterized by a belief in the interconnectedness of all life and the idea that all beings are part of a greater universal consciousness. This I believe as well.
Yeah, I believe that we are all part of a greater universal consciousness, We're all connected.
Yeah.
Science, quantum physics, all this stuff proves all this, It's no more a guess. You don't have to guess that we're not connected. You don't have to guess that we're not all God. You don't have to
Energy is
guess that we're not
energy.
all energy. It's all being proven now. They're just giving it different names, guys. It's not something to be debating.
Right.
You are God.
Yes, we are.
One.
Yes,
That oneness that we call God, that energy is what I'm saying.
So the oneness teaching, quote unquote, religions, for lack of words, the list goes on and on.
Now, on the other side of the coin, guys,
The duality
or separation, okay?
Separation,
These are the religions that teach us against them, okay? Cops and robbers, that, that we're all separate, which feeds the self, not the God and within.
And guess which religion is at the top? The number one religion of separateness.
Christianity.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, I see it.
That's right.
So what does it say?
It says, while there are many branches, traditional Christianity often emphasizes the distinction between believers and non-believers, the saved and the unsaved, and good and evil.
That's separation, guys. Mm-hmm. And anything that feeds separation, you're going to keep separating the world as we know it, and eventually it's just going to crumble. That's why the world's in the shape it's in now, because us against them. Nobody sees that we're all one, that we should be doing this together.
Right.
We're taught, we're programmed, we're conditioned to feed this ego, to separate ourselves, that, they're that, or I'm of this group, I'm of this belief, I'm of this, no.
Right.
If you are part of any kind of religion that teaches any kind of duality or separation, you would what we would call young in your faith. These are baby little spiritual beings. But guess what? Congratulations. Congratulations to you that you are on a mission to find your greater good. So here's where it starts. You'll either start out in oneness, okay, in a oneness system, and understand that you are one, and that way you can bypass all of the religion, indoctrination, and teaching, and everything that goes with it. You can years and years of that, okay, or you can start in a duality religion, such as Christianity, like it brought out here. Islam is one, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Manichaeism. It just goes on and on. These are teaching that separateness. Then, develop and learn there, but eventually, you're going to have
step and growth.
You're going to have to move up to that oneness eventually.
Right. And with you naming off those a few of those others, the one that kind of sticks out to me right here. Is the evangelical Christianity, and that is even separate from just mainstream Christianity.
Oh yeah.
The evangelical Christianity, which most identify with, is today's Christians.
Yeah.
But it says some evangelical and fundamentalist groups emphasize a strong duality between the saved, and then in parentheses, those who accept Jesus, and the unsaved, in parentheses, everyone else, often with an apocalyptic world view. That is mainstream Christianity today.
Today, yes. Yeah, that hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
spot on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the world's going to end, and all those that don't accept Jesus are going to perish.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that now, of a loving God.
No.
A loving
because
source,
you see through it.
I do.
You're
thank
just
goodness.
a different level of understanding and spirituality and vibration, and we all are at different levels. And as long as someone is growing and they're on that walk, then by all means keep going.
Yeah.
But listen to this stuff that, like what we're sharing with you and what other people are sharing with you. Never be so closed-minded where you can actually miss the real truth, because you believe that what you see right in front of you is your truth. Well, it is your truth for today, but tomorrow it may change.
Right. And back to the overview of the NDE, we was talking about the no religion there. It also brings out that there is no hell or religious dogma.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So, it brings out that a conviction or reassurance that there is no hell or eternal punishment. Individuals often report feeling that the afterlife is characterized by love and acceptance rather than fear and condemnation. Now, I do have this to say at this point, that there are those that do experience distressing NDEs and experience a hell-like state. But that being said, I would love to share from the Conversations with
Sure.
God book, because it covers this so well. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to do a little build up here of this. Neil, now this is coming from book 3, and it says this is Neil talking. Some people come back from their near-death experiences filled with peace and love and with no fear ever again of death, while others return very frightened, certain that they have just encountered a dark and evil force. And this is what Source has to say about this. The soul responds to, recreates the mind's most powerful suggestion, producing that in its experience. Some souls remain in that experience for a time, making it very real, even as they remained in their experiences while with the body, though they were equally as unreal and impermanent. Other souls quickly adjust and see the experience for what it is, begin to think new thoughts, and move immediately to new experiences. And that is where we have our hybrid, from the distressing straight into the more pleasant, the heavenly like.
Yeah, so although some people do have these distressing NDEs, they call them the DNDEs, okay? Mm-hmm. They'll experience the hell experience and things like that, you know. From what I understand, there it's a very, very, very small percentage. I mean, just like very, very minute percentage when you compare it to all of the positive, constructive, really ones, good ones. And from what I understand, that most of those, once they acknowledge a certain thing or a certain something, that they can actually change their mind or their thought waves or frequency.
Their experience,
they
change their experience.
And they go right back to the light. Is that what I'm understanding right?
Yes. That is the case, and thank you for bringing that out, because in you saying that, it makes me think of another excerpt from the Conversations, and it's just our expectations in life, okay, about what is perceived after death. Okay, so the Conversation says that some of you have expectations without even knowing it. All your life you've had thoughts about what occurs after death, and quote unquote, when you die, those thoughts are made manifest, and you suddenly realize or make real what you've been thinking about. And it is your strongest thoughts, the ones that you've held most fervently, that, as always in life, that will prevail. Nothing exists in ultimate reality save that which is. You are correct in pointing out that you may create any sub-reality you choose, including the experience of hell as you describe it. I have never said at any point in this entire dialogue that you could not experience hell. I said that hell does not exist. Most of what you experience does not exist, yet you experience it nonetheless. So right here, there's not a quote-unquote place prepared for, like many quotes from different books say. But it's an experience. Not one that is real, not one that can harm or torture you.
Right. And it says you can
experience it, but you also change that.
Yeah.
At will.
And like Source says, he says, I didn't say you won't,
you won't experience it.
You will experience it, and you can, which is going to lead us up to the next topic right here. But he said, I'm just letting you know that hell is not real.
Exactly, yes.
And that's what we have to keep in mind. And that's what these NDEs say, the same thing.
Exactly.
Do some people have hellish NDE or DNDEs, however you want to look at it? Absolutely, yes. They do. Yeah, so we do not deny that. However, from the experts and the majority, they say the bulk is all positive, constructive, loving experiences.
There's far fewer
Yeah,
that
very
have
few
the DNDs.
have the dark or distressing, yeah. And then those distressings usually typically turn into the light once they realize what's going on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can think of several just from my review episodes that they had the hybrid experience.
Yep, yep. So let's keep this in mind. Let's take the concept of hell, okay? Because this is where a lot of red flags start going off with a lot of people, because you're challenging people's belief system. So
Heavily indoctrination.
yeah, they link hell, heaven, reward, punishment, judgment, all these kind of things to their religion, to the afterlife, to their belief and things like that. So if their religion doesn't go over, okay, now what? Okay, if their belief in hell doesn't go over, now what? Okay, well, we're going to take a look at what's called the life review. Okay, now the life review to me is my most favorite element of the near-death experience, because to me the life review, okay, it may not to you, it may not to others, but I just got to say it really resonates with me and my soul, my spirit, the really genuine love and the balance of love and beautiful energy and source, what we call God. It just makes the most sense. Now, here is where we get our hell, our heaven, karma, justice, reaping what you sow, cause and effect. This is where you cash in on all of the seeds that you planted while you were on earth. All of your seeds of love, joy, kindness, okay? Or your seeds of maybe harmful or more dark or more selfish or more just not constructive for the greater good,
Right.
Whatever that may consist of. So let's talk a little bit about the life review, Daphne, if you don't mind.
Yes, most definitely. And the life review for me also is one of those moments through the NDEs that helps you to realize the effect your life has on others.
Yes.
And that experiencing is a rapid and vivid review of one's life events, whether it's from that first breath of life that you breathed in when you came into this world, or it picks up at just different stages of your life. It is not always sequential, but it is a review of your significant moments and interactions with others, the decisions that ones have made throughout their life. And it often highlights emotional or moral aspects of the events, and from the perspective of others involved.
Yes, let's kind of focus in on that, because I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. That may be new. Okay, of course, a lot of these people who've had the NDEs or people who's been studying, they understand where we're coming from, but from what we understand, guys, is not only do you re-experience everything that you've experienced here on earth, but keep in mind, like we said earlier, you are going to be in such a heightened sense of perfect balance with source or with God, or there is no ego that gets left here, it gets left behind, that the self gets left behind. Yeah. So you're going to be seeing it from God's perspective, or your perspective as God, or your purity, or your being of source of love, who you are. Okay, you're not going to be seeing it from ego. You're going to be tuned in or locked in, like we say, to the other people that you've had these experiences with, and you're going to experience life also from their perspective as well.
And the ripple effect.
And the rippling effect, absolutely. So, like anything, you might have harmed someone, for example, you're going to have to re-experience their pain, okay, and how they felt from you, from their perspective, and then how that affected them and maybe their family, and then they're on and on, and how you just don't know how, absolutely, generation after generation, you don't know how one act of cruelty or harm or darkness can really do to someone, and that rippling effect. And like Daphne said, or vice versa, guys. Here's your heaven, all right? Let me back up. That's your hell. Now, if you put out a lot of hell on earth, all the cruelty that you've done, the harm and meanness that you've put out, all the hell that you've put out, guess what? You're going to have to re-experience it, guys. There's no getting around it. The law of cause and effect. That's the reaping and the sowing. And I don't want to disappoint anybody, but there's not going to be anybody there to save you. You've got to go through this. It's for soul growth, all right? So keep that in mind. all the meanness and the badness, you're going to feel it back. That's going to be your hell. Now, on the other side, like Daphne had mentioned earlier, we've got all the good that you put out, the kindness, the love, the charity, the guide that you put out. In other words, all that construct of stuff that's better for others and the overall good of mankind instead of yourself. Well, guess what? You're going to get all that back, and you know what? That's going to be heaven. That's going to be heaven. But here's the point, guys. It has to be done like this because it balances out the energies. Okay? We call it the purging, for lack of words. A lot of NDEers will call it that. But once you go through this, it is an ego purge. Okay? The life review this whole experience really totally destroys the ego. But the life review just really finishes off, and gives it a total ego death, which is another element, and we'll cover that here, shortly.
Yes, most definitely.
Anyway.
Okay, and in this moment of the life review, there is no judgment or condemnation by a higher source for one's actions. That is one that many experiencers come back sharing their experience and so relieved because we're indoctrinated that there's going to be a judgment.
Right.
So in their experiences, it says that there is a sense that there is no judgment or condemnation from a higher power for one's actions during their life. Instead, the individuals often experience an understanding, forgiving, and a compassionate presence, emphasizing love and learning rather than punishment. And that's something that's totally opposite of what many religions teach.
Yeah. So keep that in mind, guys. It's not about judgment and condemnation and punishment and wrath, and
right.
That's not what God is, guys.
Right. And in that review, there's oftentimes other beings, other family members there in that experience, but they are indifferent to what your life experience was. They're not judging or condemning anything. They just are there present with you, and well, what could you have done differently?
Yeah. I'd like to throw in at this point, I don't know if we mentioned earlier, Daphne, it just kind of crossed my mind that, typically a lot of these life reviews are in a 360 presentation. In other words, you're typically in the middle of a room, some type of room. It's usually holographic, spiritual type thingy. And all of these, if you can imagine hundreds or many, I don't know, it varies, just everybody's different, but lots of television screens or movie screens or some kind of screens on the walls, and you've got 360 vision. Keep that in mind,
get
too.
all perspectives.
I don't know if we mentioned that earlier or not, but you do have 360 vision in that world. So here it is. You're feeling everything that you put out, everything that's, whether good, bad, or whatever, and you are just seeing it from all perspectives and feeling it from all perspectives. I just wanted to throw that in real quick.
Yes.
And no judgment. You're not being judged.
That's
they say
the
you
point,
kind of judge yourself, if you want to even call it judgment. But
right. You just look at what you've done and grow and learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an experience. Never mind. Okay, so in being in that presence of a higher source, many experiencers come back saying that God or source energy appears to each individually. There's no one set way that energy source, the divinity or higher power appears that in a form that is most meaningful to the individual.
That's right.
And that can include appearing as a spirit, a light, a presence, or any being or creature it chooses.
Yeah, it could be Jesus. It could appear
yes, many
Buddha,
experience
Krishna.
Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Shiva. There's so many deities, if that's what that person needs to see and experience for them to grow as a soul for their higher well-being.
That's right.
And that just reflects the individual's personal beliefs and cultural backgrounds.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, perfect. Well, moving right on along, what would you say would be the next one?
A point of no return.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting close to the end of the actual near-death experience, or not. I wouldn't say just the end, but you see this a lot. The point of no return.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, most definitely. Most people come to a point that they know that they can go no further. There's a barrier, a door, just there is a boundary there that they can no longer go any further in their experience. And that can be a physical, like a river, a door, or even a symbolic one. But at this point, the individuals feel that they must choose whether to return to their physical body or continue onward. And then also there is a lot of times where almost immediately in these people's experiences, you can't be here. You have to go back. So
they don't give them the option.
Right.
Yeah,
some
gotcha.
people are given a choice. Some are not. So that's that border or point of no return.
Yeah. And sometimes even a voice. Like it says here, like a river, a door, or symbolic, but sometimes even a voice, hey, no, you can't go any farther.
Yeah.
Or do you want to stay or do you want to go back? Like you said, sometimes they'll offer, but a lot of times,
Most of the time,
no,
nope, you got to go back.
You got to go back. But
Yeah.
most people have unfinished business,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah.
really life-changing. So now they're at the point now, and they're going to have to go back, okay? So now that's going to lead us to the actual...
Return to the body.
Yeah, returning to the body. Let's take a look at that part there. So now that they've had that, they're going to have this spiritual experience, this whole near-death experience, and there's so much more. It seems to me, because the experience become personalized, and there's so much more to the actual stories. We're just sharing with you the basic elements. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and that's one thing that is in this list is there are no two alike.
yeah,
There are no two alike.
no, not at all.
But in the return to the body, I mean, you hear so many different experiences. This can be abrupt or gradual and is often associated with feelings of reluctance or a sense of mission to complete unfinished task. And upon the soul returning to the body, individuals might feel a renewed sense of purpose or a transformed outlook on life itself. So there's lessons in that whole experiences that they come back with a whole new outlook on life. But in the return of the body, I immediately think of a few different ones. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Before I get too far, I just want to kind of do a little simple plug real quick of something I forgot to mention. It kind of crossed my mind earlier during the actual near-death experience. If you don't mind, maybe we can just do a little quick touch on time. That how time is different on the other side than over here. Just kind of want to put a little plug in. Just it does seem to
for
be an
each
element.
one. Yeah, some say it moves really fast. Some say it's really there's no sense of it.
Yeah, and it's not linear. It's not like how we perceive time here.
Correct.
So,
You're right.
So yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. But yeah, moving right on along, and then once they come back out of this experience, like you said, there are these life lessons that people experience, and with different. Do you want to share that with them, like the different insights and things that people get?
Yeah, I mean, there's just different lessons that the experience has for each individual. There's no set way or lesson for each individual. It is all individualized. But I have the thought on the return to the body, what the soul form thinks about the body, the way it enters the body. I can think of some experiences where they were slammed forcefully back into the body, and it felt heavy, and others that was a gradual descent. They didn't even realize it. There's others that say, I'm going to fit back in that tiny thing. So the soul is really...
So much bigger than the body.
Yes, much more than what the physical body is.
Yeah.
So there's so many experiences of what the soul actually thinks about the physical body.
Yeah.
So it's amazing all the different stories. It really is.
Yeah, very good. Now, this next one I like, you really think about this, is that there's no more fear of death. We see that a lot too.
Yes.
Death has a whole new meaning to people. What about that? Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a profound absence of fear, or anxiety regarding death. They no longer have that fear, and that raises that vibration for people to live and act in a different manner. So, many individuals report a sense of peace and acceptance regarding the prospect of dying. This absence of fear often stems from the profound insights that they gained through their NDE, which is those lessons we were talking about earlier. And they realize the interconnectedness of all existence.
Yep.
And the unconditional love and acceptance during their NDE can alleviate any fear of judgment or punishment in the afterlife when it comes their time to go back to that soul form.
Yeah. And I like it says it allows individuals to embrace death as something very natural, a natural part of human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, death is the most beautiful experience that we will experience.
Yes.
That's what I get back from a lot of the
Most
NDEs I've talked to.
definitely.
Yeah. So moving on along, some other things that these people, so they have these life-changing experiences, and they have this, I like this increased empathy, okay, and compassion for others. What about they become more spiritual than religious? I like that one. They have a better understanding, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between spirituality and religion, or being religious. There is a difference.
There really is, yes.
They can coexist, but a lot of times they don't.
Right. And there's beauty in that, because they come back with just a vivid recall of their experience, and regardless of time, it is very vivid in great detail, and because of that moment and experience, that does increase their empathy and compassion toward all life. They are more interactive with nature.
Yeah.
Most of them just engaging in various aspects with nature, including animals, plants, insects, trees, and so much more. So even describing communicating with all of those things. So that it's just a connection that is so real and profound, and they realize that all is connected.
Yeah. So yeah, it's wild. They'll come back from the other side with these beautiful experiences, and then and all of this life changing things, Even if they have a hellish NDE, it's life changing for them. It changes them for the good.
and these experiences, people come back more spiritual as opposed to religious.
Right. That's what we were saying earlier. Yeah. Touch base on that if you don't mind, because there is a difference, like we said.
It really just helps people to develop a deeper sense of spirituality rather than religious dogma, because they focus on personal growth and the information and transformation that they have been through and are going through, the connection of the universe, rather than the adherence to specific religious dogmas or rituals. I mean, there's many different forms of religion, but the spiritual awakening involves a shift in perspective toward the interconnectedness of all existence.
And I think that's what these NDEs are good for. They really are really spiritual, life-changing experiences for the individuals. Now, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. It kind of brings us to the end here. I like this last one here. It says that, the vivid recall of the experience. Like, a person can have an experience like, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago and remember it like it just happened this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about that when they recall those experiences,
This
that
vivid,
vividness, because
yeah.
there's so many senses. Remember we said you were in that enhanced
You were in
spiritual
spiritual soul
state.
form,
So you were recording all this in a perfect state. So that's why
Right.
when you recall it, you're probably recalling it in that state.
Yes, which brings us to when they're back in their body and all these things have happened to them. It's called, quote unquote, ego death.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what we
That's
had
on
mentioned
page 9.
earlier. Yeah. Ego death, guys. That should be your mission in life, is to kill your ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called crucifixion, by the way, for those who don't know. We'll get into that
most
later.
Definitely. The dissolution of the ego brings about a transformative shift in consciousness and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to a deeper understanding of the nature of reality and one's place within it.
Yeah.
And I do have this to say too before we wrap on up, because this is part of the return to the body, is a lot of the individuals come back with extrasensory perceptions and physical ability or psychic abilities. So they are very well aware of their heightened extrasensory perception. So the ESP. So their psychic abilities such as telepathy, precognition. I'm not saying that right. Such as telepathy or clairvoyance, either during the NDE or after returning to normal consciousness. So a lot of times these people didn't even have this ability before their experience. But now, since their experience, they have these sensing future events or reading others' thoughts. They have increased intuition. So there's many experiences that come back with these abilities.
Yeah, very well said, very well said. Okay, well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap things up, Daphne. That pretty much covers it. Like I said, this is just really the elements. We didn't really cover any experiences in these episodes, but it's really just the actual elements themselves. Is there anything that you can think of that you might like to, share or leave with the listeners before we wrap up?
No, if you don't know about NDEs, you're just learning about this, definitely do the research into it. Go on YouTube, Spotify, whatever platform you use, and start researching this subject, because you will gain so much knowledge from these experiencers, and that will help you to grow as a soul and realize the unity and divinity within each and everything.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and thank you guys so much for listening and for tuning in and for sharing this moment of your life and time with us. We thank you so much. We're so grateful. Don't forget to go to the website, guys, NDE.world for more information, and we'll see you guys over there, okay? All right. So anything else, Daphne, we'd like to share with everybody and just send them our love?
Yes, we love you all and appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in. We love you so much.
Yes. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.